You're not gonna say it, somebody should. Let's talk about two-time. Let's talk about bum one, yeah. Asking the questions that nobody could. Like, where are the bone dogs and are they in harmony? Do you're a helpful snowman.
Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to another one of these. Today we're going to do something that I've meant to do for, it's only been 3 months. Last December, I was going to look through, as they call it, the Great American Wish Book from Sears. I found one from 1991, so I would have been 7 years old, which seems like about the time that Christmas is very exciting. You know, when you're like real little, I think it's not too exciting because you're like, you don't know what the fuck's going on. I always think this is really funny when like parents put a whole lot into a very young child's birthday. I think I'd be like, don't even rap shit, because this kid doesn't even understand rap. He's never going to. Hip hop and rap are not for this kid. Anyway, we've got the Great American Wish Book. We've got a, very multicultural group of kids sitting in Santa's sleigh, presumably. Well, it's got a big horse pulling it, so maybe it's not Santa's sleigh. And some dumbass kid who dropped his glove in the snow. That's like the joke on the cover, I guess. So let's see what kinds of things you might wish for in 1991. Holy shit. Okay, there's a video camera that costs $764. And wait a minute, you could pay $16 a month? That doesn't even make sense. How long would it take you? It would take you 1,000 years to pay off, by my estimation. Now this is more affordable. Sears exclusive limited edition glamour Barbie. Not like those other frumpy, shitty Barbies. These are like the front page before you even get to anything. It's like, look, if you're going to buy something, it's going to be one of these two things. Here's what it says. Christmas the way it should be. Remember the excitement of the holidays when you were a child? We just talked about this. That's unfortunate. Chances are the wish book was part of the fun as you searched for that special toy you hoped Santa would bring. Just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean the fun is over. Recapture the joy of the season by discovering the easiest, most convenient way to do your holiday shopping. With the perfect gifts just a phone call away, you'll have more time to celebrate with friends and family. That's Christmas the way it should be. Some poor bastard had to write all this stuff up, and it's like, look, nobody cares. Like, had to write these long, oh my God, they have to do a huge, 3-page spread. Okay, now there's I don't even remember this from being a kid. There's a toy index. So you can, action figures are in the 500, there's 799 pages here. This is a 9-hour episode we just signed up for. I'm not happy about that. There's, action figures, games, blah, blah, blah. There's also famous names, so brands, Atari, Barbie, etc. This is pretty amazing. Oh, here's an order form. Get a credit card. Okay. There's a laser gun that looks awesome, by the way. Laser Pro 9000. Zap 'em in the Laser Challenge Game of the Future. I think we might have had this when I was a kid. This looks very familiar. Someone I knew had this. If not us, somebody did. It was like a laser tag. There were many types of laser tag when I was a kid. That was like a big thing. And for some reason, it was like you could get these store laser tags, and this was like $60. Okay, this is great. It's $60, and it uses, guess how many of what type of battery? This is like a thing the size of your forearm that I guess shoots a beam that can be read by other devices. By the way, I remember we did have a laser tag set that was different from this one. And our dad discovered that you could play, quote unquote, by using the TV remote. So he would often do that while we were laser tagging each other. He would be playing and we would be like, what the fuck is going on? This takes 8 AAA batteries. Here's a clever idea. If you're going to make a shitty electronic, make it take 8 AAA batteries. Because basically the playtime on it, let's say if you have a shitty electronic, maybe the useful time on it is going to be like 20 hours of play and then it's going to go to shit. If it takes 8 AAA batteries, that's never going to happen. You can never scrape together 8 AAA batteries for this fucking thing. That was never going to happen. Ever. Laser pinball. I don't even know what that is. Oh, they had like a kid shooting another kid with the laser gun. So they were like across a page spread. And what's really funny is the laser is going right into one kid's eye. Definitely the exact thing that you'd be like, I don't know about that. They've got this road beast, which is like a half-track monster truck with a what do you call that? A backhoe sort of claw on the front. This was also a thing when I was a kid. I don't know if this like lasted through time, but it was a thing to have like remote control cars with different gimmicks. I had one when I was a kid that had like treads instead of wheels. I also had one at one point that had big inflatable wheels that gave it enough clearance that it could flip over, and then you could just drive it while it was flipped over. That was actually a pretty good idea. Whoever came up with that, I'm on board. I remember my younger brother had like a hover car at one point. That was pretty cool. A hovercraft. Holy shit. I'm looking at a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle heroic sweater. It's a knit sweater with all 4 turtles on it, and it's got their names running down the arms, too. I had this sweater as a child, for sure. I don't know if I specifically asked for it. I probably asked for this shitty fake leather jacket. But, whatever. There's what are they calling this? A Barbie 3-wheel scooter. Okay. I was like, why is there a Barbie mobility scooter? Because that is definitely what this is. But I get it. It's supposed to be like a Vespa, that you could wear as a kid or ride as a kid. You know what I mean? And wouldn't be horrifically dangerous. It'd just be a little dangerous, probably. Some more clothes. Clothes were always things I skipped past. These were always like, you always asked for. So whenever I had, like, as a kid, I had the, you'd make your Christmas list, right? And you'd just, like, put stuff on there. And I always remember I'd put, like, candy, money. And then I'd put, like, something crazy on there that I could never have, like, a CD player, right? And I'd be like, well, that's never going to happen. In a billion years would I ever have a CD player. But I'm putting it on there because you got to take the risk. Somebody, I feel like when I leave my job or something, I'll just be like, well, I'm leaving, but if you want to pay me triple my salary, I will stay. Triple my salary to work 32 hours a week, I will stay. And if they did that, then it'd be like, oh shit, they kind of called my bluff. And that, what's great about doing that too? If you don't stay, what a fuck you. They're like, okay, we'll pay you triple. I might be tempted to say, really, I wanted to ask for double, but then I realized I should have been making double this whole time, so triple is what it's going to take. There's a Garfield aquarium where his tum is where the fish lives. That's kind of fun. I think the implication that I would not have realized as a child is that Garfield ate the fish and they're in his belly. There's also these tall, clear Crayola aquariums, which are pretty cool, that I vaguely remember. There's a lot of golf shit. You know, this is like what you get your dad because you don't know what to get him. And then, like, there's gold and diamond jewelry. I mean, there's, like, 10 pages of rings. They need to have a, here's how they need to sell jewelry. I'm going to give the jewelry industry some advice. You should have a special section in your jewelry catalog or store or website for, did you fuck up? Is this your way of trying to sort of reverse out of a fuck up? Well, you know, here's the scale of fuck up, and here's basically what you should get to accommodate that fuck up. Do you know there's pocket watches? I don't remember anyone having a pocket watch when I was a kid. Like, I feel like that was over way before I was a kid. But they still apparently sold them. And then they had this Iron Man triathlon watch that was like black, gray, and had some orange on it. And I was like, this is the watch that everyone had, and it's great. It's like the best watch ever. My God, there's just endless watches. Watch. Now they have these Game & Watch. These like Super Nintendo and Tetris game watches with those ding, ding kind of sounds, and the graphics where it just flashes and then flashes in a new spot. And it's basically impossible to play. Even though it's, I guess it's possible to play, but it is not pleasurable to play. Now we've got women's clothes. This is like the part that I'm like, oh, God, skip. It's weird that they put the women's clothes before the toys. Do you think that's like, they put the toys in here because that's how, you know, the kids would do that. So then they put all this other shit in here before that. So it's like, okay, I'm a mom. I'm going to see what my kids want. This looks like it might be Brooke Shields in here. Modeling. Maybe not. Who knows? I feel like she was more famous than a Sears catalog, but at the same time, who knows? So maybe mom had to like flip past all the Lee jeans. Oh, these are mom jeans, by the way. People are talking about their mom jeans. It's like, oh no. These kind of look like you're wearing a diaper, and then there's your jeans. Oh, and here's like aerobics outfits. It's like spandex. Like Jamie Lee Curtis wore in that movie. And this was the early 90s, so butts were long. They were so long. It was like the longer you can make your butt, that was how you showed your fitness or whatever. There's just stuff in here the tummy sizer. This is a stomach exerciser. Stomach exerciser actually tones and firms your abdominal muscles without sit-ups. Just clip it on, follow the exercise guide, and extend and isometrically contract your stomach muscles for just minutes a day, even while watching TV or at work. This thing is like this thing already too looks like the band and stuff is all gray. It looks like it's already been used, and it's brand new. Abdominizer. There's been an obsession with abs for a long time. Oh, the ski machines. You guys remember ski machines? That's like, I don't know if this is still true. It's been a while. Since I've been to the thrift store. But those definitely were like the dominant exercise machine at the thrift store. What made us go away from the ski machine? You know, what made us say no to the ski machine and the elliptical is like the way to go? I'm not so sure. I mean, maybe the ski machine's not as good, but if it's like 75% as good, one can be had for like $10. I mean, you could just basically take one for free. Chicago Bulls shit, of course, in the kids' pajamas. This was back in the day of the three-peat. Oh, and Bugle Boy. When colors were bad. See, kids need to look at this. And by kids, I mean people who are like 25. Because it's like, okay, when you have your like 80s, 90s excitement, this is the stuff that we were really wearing. Not what you think. It's like the 80s really looked more like the 70s, and the 90s really looked more like the 80s. Which makes no sense when I say, oh, here you go. These are girls' pajamas, Vanilla Ice, and MC Hammer. And you got your choice. This is like Team Edward, Team Jacob of that time. You going Hammer, or you going Vanilla Ice? Which one's cooler? How come MC Hammer never had a movie and Vanilla Ice did? MC Hammer definitely should have had a movie. Although maybe that was a choice on his part, and maybe he made the right choice. Maybe I shouldn't second guess Hammer's decision to not do the movie thing. Now I'm looking at like, jackets. This is like the worst shit. I mean, there's some jackets. This jacket looks pretty familiar. There's a jacket that just has like ML-3999 in a huge green and computer font badge on it. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, here's like the nerd kids. Want to get your kid a sport coat that he'll definitely wear? Oh, man. Want to get your teen a sport coat? Want to make sure he doesn't go to the dance? Want to give him something to throw on the floor of the dance and then maybe remember when he leaves and maybe not? This is also the time when there was a lot of pushing of like, what do I want to call this? Like, there were lots of pink and purple boys' clothes, you know, and those were always like sort of the experimental. There'd be a bunch of them left. Like if there was a cool jacket and it came in a couple styles and one of them was like pink and purple, it's like, well, guess which one is still going to be here in a while. Ooh, NFL belt buckles. That's fun. That's a fun thing for a kid. Nothing a kid likes more than a good belt buckle. Ugh. Basically, all the clothes are sports clothes for guys. They're for kids, you know, and teens. It's like all, don't you love sports teams and stuff? And it was like, I wore a lot of that as a kid. And I guess would have said I liked sports teams, but I never watched sports, ever. I mean, I don't even really remember watching like the Super Bowl. Maybe I did. Who knows? Oh, God, pants. We're like halfway through, and so far it's like, how did you even get through this as a kid? Maybe I was smart as a kid and went from back to front. Oh, here's a hilarious dad hat. It's like a baseball hat with a fish coming through it. So the fish tail's coming out of the back, and the fish face comes out of the front. Nothing like having a good fish face right above your face. I guess maybe that would help if you were a moderately handsome person and you're like, well, I look better than this fish, but it would look much worse if you were a somewhat fish-looking man. Know what I'm saying? Like if you have a little bit of a fish face, the last thing you want to do is associate yourself with looking like a fish. Oh, here you go. Here's a tanning bed you could get in your house. That was only $2,200. That doesn't seem outrageously expensive to me. There's one, you can get a tanning light just for your face. It's like just basically looks like you're putting your face close to a bunch of fluorescent light bulbs. It's hilarious. Massagers. Now, whether or not these are like vibrator type massagers, I couldn't say. One of them's clearly being used by a guy on the back of his neck, but he also is topless. So I feel like, oh my God. Okay, there's this thing called Economical Sleepmate. Produces the sound of rushing air. 2-speed motor for high set, whatever. Point being, this is like it looks exactly like the white noise machine you could get on Amazon, like right now. It's the exact same thing. This is great. We're in like the gizmos section. You know, like you can get a cordless step and comfort, which is like slippers that are connected and then I guess puts pressure on your feet. Uses 2D batteries, not included. Of course, why not have it use batteries? Why have that be plugged in? You're going to want this on the go, even though once your feet are in them, you can't move. Makes all the sense in the world. We definitely seem to be less concerned about batteries back in the day, like the wastefulness of batteries. Yeah, and here's like 8 pages of shaving things. This is like still true today, is like everybody thinks you need 1,000 shaving things. You know, I still see these like stupid commercials for like Dr. Squatch and like you need this to shave your balls and stuff. And I'm like, when did we all just say, you know what, we're going to shave our balls? That's happening. So I'm like, I don't remember agreeing to that. I feel like this is a quid pro quo. And I'm not interested in the shaving, so, you know, why should anyone do it? I just don't get it. I don't get why there's such an industry here. Okay, now we're in the Barbies. This was almost worse than the women's clothes. Not quite, because you're like, I mean, at least it's a toy. It resembles something you could play with. Oh, and the dolls. Oh, my God. I've always found dolls' faces to be bizarre. And never understood, like, why would you want, like, a baby? Oh, here's a baby clown. Perfect. If I had a kid, it's a good thing I don't. I should just leave it at that. But it's a good thing I don't because it's like, I would really just want to like, give them the weirdest doll. Just be like, here's a crazy clown doll. Each Lady Isabel doll has been signed and dated by Wilma Zimbelli and comes with a numbered and signed certificate. Like, as if that's important. I mean, who does that matter to? What kind of weirdo is like, oh, this is an authentic so-and-so doll? Then you get, like, almost into boy toys. Because you've got, like, toy horses and stuff. So you're like, kind of. But then you're back into toy kitchens. Toy kitchens was another thing that I never got into as a kid. Here's a $1 million idea, by the way. You know, like every little kid wants to do the bubble mower or like the little fake vacuum or whatever. Someone needs to make a kid-like vacuum and mower and stuff that they can actually use. I don't think a kid could actually like mow the lawn. You know, I don't think they have the capability of actually making that work. But I think that, you know, they could hit a couple swaths, right? I mean, why not? It's snowing right now. I'm going to send them outside with a fucking shovel and see what happens. Ugh, God, yeah, typewriters. My mom got us typewriters when we were kids. This was a one thing that I was kind of always like, that stretches the definition of a toy quite a bit, don't you think? Also, this is one where she had 2 boys, so it's kind of like you have to double everything, like you have to get 2 of everything, otherwise it doesn't work. But that was one that I was like, you know, Mom, I think we would have been okay with 1. I think I would have been able to share and take turns on the old typewriter. Oh, yeah, little indoor tents. These were the best. And I think this is a Ninja Turtle sleeping bag that I have that I slept in, you know, when I would sleep over at another kid's house. And it smelled really fucked up, and I could not figure out. I was like, why does it smell this weird smell? It turned out the cat peed on it a bunch of times. So I was sleeping in like a cat pee bag. Okay, now we're thoroughly in boy toy territory. Legos. Erector set. Erector. Hilarious name. I think it's Meccano in the UK. It taught you how to use like washers and nuts and bolts. That was something. Rock tumbler. This is actually one that I've talked about getting for Poonmaster Flex. I'm like, I think you might actually enjoy a rock tumbler. This is what's funny is like as an adult, it's like I purchased a typewriter to try and fix up. a rock tumbler sounds fun. Maybe this is why you get these things when you're a kid, because adults are like, I don't know, that sounds fun. I would like to do that. But as a kid, you're like, no. No, thank you. Telescope, another perfect example. Like, get me a telescope as a kid, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to look at with this? And then microscope. We also had microscopes. I think we had 2. That's another one that my mom got us. That my mom really tried to make us not be like stupid idiot shitheads. I feel really bad for her. I need to get her like a nice Mother's Day gift and be like, I know you tried. I know you tried. I mean, I appreciate that you tried. What can I say, Mom? The deck was stacked against you. You know, I wanted like a baseball card set like you can get here. This was always funny to me too, is like you could get baseball cards and you could get the packs. And the packs, you know, would have a random-ish set of cards in them, right? But then you could just, you know, if you knew a kid who was like rich, they would get an entire set. It would just be an entire huge box full of baseball cards, right? And they would get these, and it was kind of also though like, is this fun? Because then you just have the whole set, and you're like, well, now what do you do with them? And everyone knew like, well, the best thing financially, because this is your financial future, is to just leave them in the box. But I could never resist that. Oh, hit sticks. Okay, these were drumsticks that were like wired into a little speaker. And when you made a, you know, drumming motion with them, they went like... This was a great thing to annoy the fuck out of somebody with. If you really wanted to annoy the shit out of your parents, or like, if you were a parent and you bought those for your kid, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like, God bless you, or I'm like, you crazy. Let's see. Oh, you could buy some comic book sets. Oh, well... DC Comics Value Pack, Marvel Comics Value Pack. It just says includes 25 books. I remember this. They would just like package them together, and then they'd usually put something a little more interesting, at least on the outside. So you'd be like, oh, maybe. And then you'd get it, and it's like in between, just the worst shit, you know? Oh, I hope you like West Coast Avengers. Great. Wonderful. Walkie-talkies, that was a huge one. That was a huge one. This was always a big thing, too, was like spy equipment. You know, like you'd have here was a thing that they always made when I was a kid, many versions of a periscope. As if you're going to have, you know, and when you're a kid and you're like presented with this, you're like, this is the best idea ever. And then you're like, when am I ever going to be behind something that I can look over and see something? I couldn't even see it. There was nothing for me to see or look at. And yet I was fooled every time by a periscope. I was like, oh, this is going to make me the greatest spy on the planet. But it didn't. I don't know if you haven't heard about my spy exploits, or if they're just, well, I do know. There weren't any to hear about. Now here's, you can get MC Hammer's Wraparound Game or Vanilla Ice Electronic Rap Game. MC Hammer's is create your own rap rhymes and moves. Rap rhythm audio tape sets the pace. Follow the rap master's opening line and try to keep it going. Come up with a new rhyming line or even dance your way out of trouble. Includes 48 starter cards. This sounds actually like a pretty good game. I'm going to just write this down. You know, maybe Poonie and Pete need the help. Vanilla Ice Game. Create new raps by playing rhyming cards to fill in the blanks on game board. Then rap them out to the rhythm of the electronic beatbox mic. Oh my god. Ooh. There should have been some of these games that are just like annoy the shit out of your parent. Yeah, and this was also a big thing in the era, was like gimmick video games. Shark, shark, shark attack. This shark eats like a maniac, etc. Oh, we got some Batman stuff. Oh, here we go. Tiger handheld electronics. These are like those shitty watch games I talked about, but they're a little bit bigger and just awful. And here's the thing. You go to the next page, and here is the Game Boy. Now, the Game Boy is $90. These Tiger handhelds are $18. So I understand. Let's see if there's Game Boy games. I can't really see the price of them, though. It's too blurred. Damn it. But it looks like maybe like $20. I know it's 110 is a lot more than 20, but boy, would you be happier with that. And you could get the Atari Lynx for $100, or Game Gear for $150. Wow. Well, I feel like we didn't understand. Maybe parents understood this and I didn't. Because here's like, okay, here's Sega Genesis, and you're like, here's all the games, and you're like, holy fuck. And then, of course, on the next page, you've got the Nintendo. You're like, oh man, these games look awesome too. Like they have a screenshot from each game. This was back in the day when they were too dumb to do box art. Like the new Tom and Jerry game has box art instead of a screenshot, which is a excellent choice. Because mostly these are not like impressive looking games when you have one tiny postage stamp size thing. Oh, here you go. Classic Corner Nintendo games are $20. So Castlevania, which here is known as Castlevania 1. Oh, the Super Nintendo is out. What? It's $200? Okay, why would you get 10 Tiger Electronic games or a Super Nintendo? This is the choice you were faced with as a parent. You need to make a good financial choice. I'm very disappointed. We never really had those Tiger Electronic games, but a lot of kids I knew had them, and holy shit. When you played it, you're just like, how do you like this? Is this fun? Here's a little robot toy that my younger brother had, which I mostly remember because it could throw a ball. It had like a claw hand, and it could throw a ball, and that was like amazing. Except, then you kind of run out of stuff. And now we enter the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle world. They have the sewer layer, all kinds of good shit. They also had these Marvel action figures. Now, here's what was funny about these. If you weren't like into the world of action figures, each figure had to do something. Like the Hulk came with this fake metal bar. I mean, obviously it's not metal. And he would quote unquote bend it. Was his superpower. Or like there's an X-Men set and there's a Colossus who comes with an enormous barbell that he will curl. Now here also is depicted a Wolverine set. This isn't the exact one that I had, but I did get it one year. But it was probably after 1991 because I was a little too old for it. I was a little embarrassed by it, but also thought it was awesome. And it was like a big plastic glove you put on that had extending claws and also a face mask, and perhaps a sign that I was too old for it was the strap that holds the face mask on. It wasn't big enough for my head. It was like it would just barely 2 loops of Velcro holding on was all that I got in terms of head fitting in there. Here's a kid. Oh my god. They have a kid's like barbell and dumbbell fitness set, and there's a kid on it doing a bench press, horribly by the way. He's going to break his wrists off. And also he's going to get trapped under this barbell and die. For sure. I mean, this kid, you can see on his face that he's a pro at modeling. But boy, is he like, this is painful. I don't know how. Okay, let's see. Plastic dumbbells can be filled with sand or water. Maximum weight of 8 3/4 pounds each. Doesn't say what the plates weigh. Barbell set. Okay. Oh my god. You can have up to 35 pounds. So this kid's probably like 6, and he's benching a bar which is kind of a lot for a kid. I don't know if I can endorse the safety of a little kid benching. Certainly not unsupervised with no spotter. I mean, dad should be there. This is like basically an ad for deadbeat dad. Like, hey, where's dad? Dad needs to be on the scene when you're bench pressing. Little tip for anyone out there. Okay, here's a sled. It's white on the top and brown on the bottom, and it's called a snow nut, like a donut, but SNO. That's genius. Oh yeah, there were all these sleds that had like a steering system of some kind. I remember we had one when I was a kid, and some other kid tried it out and broke it immediately. I do remember a lot of things when I was a kid breaking immediately. I remember I had one of those dish sleds. You know, it was like a disc-shaped half dome thing, and I took it out, took it to the hill, ran and jumped on it, and just cracked. And I was like, well, that's the end of that. They also had, and God, I hope they don't fucking sell these anymore, because what a scam. What a complete scam. They used to have these sleds, we'll call them, which was just a sheet of plastic. And it would be rolled up all the time. And so you'd have to like figure out a way to get it to go straight. And it was impossible. It was just impossible. And it was like the worst sled. And here's the way that sled really worked. You took that sled to the hill because that gave you the guts to show up at least feeling like you'd tried. And then you could ask kids if you could use their sled, you know, if we could take turns. Workout sets. This always shows like, there's like a total gym basically. And the ladies on the back doing the stair stepper and the guys on the back doing a hamstring extension. The couple that works out together. Oh, here's some heavy hands, sort of like dumbbells. My mom had these. Let's see if we can see how much they would have weighed. Well, at most they weighed 8.25 pounds, but I'm guessing these were the like 2 to 2.5 pounds. 2.5 pound dumbbell. Oh, and the mini trampoline. Every kid I knew, they had a mini trampoline. And it was like, I don't know if what happened is parents actually got these for exercise, or if they got them and then it was like, they sort of retconned the reason for getting them into being exercise. Golf, guns, arrows, pool, as in billiards. When I was a kid, we had a pool table at my dad's house for a long time. We had a pool table, but, I never knew how to play pool, and I wasn't really big enough. The primary use of the pool table was we would have here's like a Black Santa blow mold. That's cool. Here's also a Santa who's definitely whipping reindeer, but they've removed the whip, so it looks like he's waving, but he's waving with his hand very far over and behind his head. It's a very awkward pose, and then you're like, oh, I think he used to be whipping those reindeer. His blow mold's probably like 40 years old. Oh, Lou Malnati's pizza. Anyway, we had this pool table, and the primary use of it was we would sit up on it and play Monopoly, because my little brother, this was like an entire family thing, parents and kids, because my younger brother, at the time, was too little and would just fuck up the game. Like, if you've ever had a younger sibling, you know that what a little kid likes to do on a board game is they see you doing it, see you moving the stuff around, and they're like, hey, I'm going to do that. And they just fuck up the entire game. So we'd play up there, and he would just kind of walk around the perimeter moaning because he couldn't play. I'm not laughing because it's cruel. It's just like such a weird scene. It's so weird growing up with siblings when there's like a significant age gap. Fireplace Bellows were also a favorite toy. Fireplace Bellows always seemed like a thing that it's like I just had never figured out how to use them. I I was like, there's got to be some good use of this. Like maybe I could use it to blow up a balloon or something. But it never came to be. Here's like a more industrial, serious rock tumbler. I wonder how long you plug in a rock tumbler. It's got like different refills of sand or whatever. Isn't that just sand? Okay. Well, this is like for adults. Ooh, cameras. Fun. So many cameras. I did get a camera one year when I was a kid, and that was very exciting. I only remember like tactile wise how the door slid open, but it was a big thing. And then I do recall getting the film developed, and you get it back, and you're just like, man, I suck at this. I thought I was so good at camera, and I am not. Then you get a Ziggy phone and a Garfield phone and the classic transparent phone. I had one of those, and here's how dumb I was as a kid. I had a transparent phone, and I took it apart to see how it worked. Like, what could you do to prevent your kid from taking something apart other than getting a transparent version of that thing? So I took it apart, but then, I was dumb. I was a kid. And this still is a problem that I have sometimes, is I can take something apart, but then I can't quite figure out how to get it back together. It's like, I don't think this worked this way when I came to it. And boy, at this point, it seems like I'm going to have a real difficult time getting this one back together. It's just like the two shells of plastic phone never fit together. Never worked. Oh, God. They have all these tapes. We had, when I was a kid, we'd drive up to the mountains like every other weekend in the winter with my dad. And at one point, he bought like Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy on cassette. So there's like 50 cassettes or something. I mean, it was a huge pile of cassettes. And basically, it seemed like they would just pop one in, whichever one was handy. I never heard the entire thing. I had no idea what was going on. I remember listening to it one time and sort of following what was happening. But then after that, it was like, oh, I don't remember where we left off. Oh, fuck it. Just put in tape 5. We're probably at about tape 5, right? In retrospect, it would be very easy. All you got to do is pop in the tape and then, not rewind it, right? So like whichever place you leave off, that tape is in the middle somewhere. Whereas all the other tapes have been played, flipped, played the other side, and then put back together. So it's like, well, if the tape is at the beginning, then it's not the correct tape. The sweet Walkman. I did get a Walkman one time. Oh, and here's a Discman. This is from the era when a Discman, they were like, this should have like buttons 1 through 9, so you can conveniently type in the track that you want to listen to. So it's like, CDs aren't convenient enough. If you had to, can you imagine if you had to push this button 9 times? That's insane. Let's just make a button that's 1 digit that you can push. Here's some electronics by the company we all know and love, Grundig. Sounds a lot like Grundle. Not really what I think most people would want to have as their electronics company. Here's vacuums. This is back in the day when people used to use vacuums like peasants. They had to push them around the floor. Now our vacuums, we combined page 798 of the Wish book with page 212 with the remote control cars. And now we've got this all down. Oh, this is sad because now here's the appliances, and I'm like, oh, this is like the shit that was in my apartments. No. 1991 Wish book, huh? Next time I go look at an apartment, I guess that's what I'll say. Oh, 1991 Wish book, huh? Nice, nice. Good stuff. 1991 was a good year for Wishbook. Well, everyone, we did it. We got through all the pages. You believe it? I mean, you didn't really do anything. You kind of just sat on your ass while I did the going through the pages. But the pages were gotten through and you were here for it. So that's something. I guess pat yourself on the back. You know, if you're just a real lazy piece of shit, I guess you accomplished something sort of today. And with that, insulting of you, I guess we'll see you next time.